The phone rang at exactly 6:12 in the evening. I remember the time because I had just placed the last dish on the table. Roast turkey, golden and steaming, surrounded by bowls of mashed potatoes, buttered vegetables, and cranberry sauce I had made from scratch, just like my late wife used to. The house smelled like Christmas. It had been 6 years since she passed, but I kept every tradition alive, not for myself, but for my son Daniel. I wiped my hands on a towel and picked up the phone, smiling. "Daniel," I said warmly, "where are you? Dinner's almost ready." There was a pause. Not the kind filled with static or noise, but the kind that carries something heavy inside it. "Dad," he began, his voice unusually casual, "we're not coming." The words didn't land all at once. They drifted, slowly, like snowflakes that don't seem real until they settle. "What do you mean?" I asked, forcing a chuckle. "You're already late." "Yeah, well, something came up," he said. "We decided to go to Emma's parents' place instead." I felt my fingers tighten around the phone. "Tonight?" I asked quietly. "Yeah, I mean it's Christmas, Dad. We can't be everywhere." The sentence was simple, reasonable even. But it carried a carelessness that cut deeper than anger ever could. "I cooked all day," I said, my voice lower now. "I was expecting you." Another pause. "Dad, it's not a big deal," he replied, a hint of impatience creeping in. "We'll come some other time." Some other time. I looked at the table set for three. His chair was pulled out just the way he liked it. The candle flickered softly, as if even it hesitated. "All right," I said finally. "Don't make this a thing, okay?" he added quickly. "We'll visit next week or something." "Of course," I said. We hung up. And just like that, Christmas ended. I didn't eat that night. I sat at the table for a long time, staring at the empty chairs. At some point I stood up, walked to the window and watched the neighborhood glow with warmth, families gathering, laughter echoing faintly through the cold air. I wasn't angry. Not at first. I was erased. That's the only way I can describe it. As if I had slowly become optional in my own son's life. The next morning, I woke up with a clarity I hadn't felt in years. It wasn't rage. It was something quieter. Something sharper. If my presence meant so little to him, then maybe it was time he understood what my absence would feel like. You see, I wasn't a poor man. I had spent 40 years building a small but successful construction business. After retiring, I had assets, savings, and, most importantly, the house. The house Daniel had grown up in. The house he often joked would be his someday. I never corrected him. But that morning, I made a decision. 3 days later, I sat across from my lawyer. "I want to make some changes to my will," I said calmly. He adjusted his glasses. "Of course, what kind of changes?" I leaned back in my chair. "I want to donate everything." He blinked. "Everything?" "The house, the savings, the investments," I said. "All of it." "To charity?" he asked. "Yes." He studied me carefully. "And your son?" I met his gaze. "He's already chosen what matters to him." The process took weeks. I didn't rush it. I made sure everything was thorough, legal, and irreversible. A large portion went to a children's hospital, another to a housing program for elderly people with no families. People who, like me, had once been someone's whole world and were now an afterthought. Daniel didn't call during that time. Not once. I suppose he was busy. Or maybe I had already faded into the background of his life. It wasn't until mid-January that he finally showed up. Unannounced. I heard the doorbell ring and opened it to find him standing there with Emma, both smiling as if nothing had happened. "Dad," he said cheerfully, "we thought we'd drop by." Drop by. As if I were a neighbor. "Come in," I said. We sat in the living room. Emma scrolled through her phone while Daniel talked about work, traffic, and some new car he was considering. Not once did he mention Christmas. Not once did he apologize. And that's when I knew I had made the right decision. "Daniel," I said suddenly. "Yeah, I've made some changes to my will." He looked up mildly interested. "Oh yeah. I thought you should know." He nodded. "Makes sense." "I've decided to donate everything," I said plainly. Silence. The kind that fills a room like water. "What?" he asked, his smile fading. "The house, the money, everything," I repeated. Emma's phone lowered slowly. "Dad, that's not funny," Daniel said. "I'm not joking." He leaned forward, his expression tightening. "Why would you do that?" I held his gaze. "Because I realized something on Christmas," I said quietly. "I realized I'm not part of your life anymore." "That's not true," he snapped. "We just had other plans that day." "Other plans," I echoed. "Yes." "It wasn't a big deal," he insisted. "It was to me," I said. The words landed heavier than I expected. He looked away, frustrated. "So you're punishing me?" "No," I said calmly. "I'm accepting reality." The conversation didn't end well. He left angry. Emma didn't say a word. Weeks passed. Then months. And for the first time in years, Daniel started calling. At first it was small things. "Hey Dad, how are you? Just checking in. I was thinking we could have dinner sometime." I could hear it in his voice. The shift. The realization. But I didn't change my decision. Because this wasn't about revenge. It was about truth. One evening, he came over again. Alone this time. He looked different. Not older, but quieter. "I'm sorry," he said the moment he sat down. I didn't respond immediately. "I didn't think it mattered that much," he continued. "I thought you'd understand." "I did understand," I said. "That's why I made my choice." He nodded slowly. "I've been thinking about Mom," he said softly. "About how she used to make Christmas, how we used to come here every year." I felt something tighten in my chest. "And I realized," he continued, his voice breaking slightly, "I didn't just skip dinner. I let go of something important." That was the moment I had been waiting for. Not his anger, not his reaction, but his understanding. "I can't undo what I've done," I said gently. "The will is changed." He swallowed. "I'm not here for the money," he said. I studied him carefully. "Then why are you here?" He looked up at me. "Because I don't want to lose you." For the first time in months, I smiled. Not fully, but enough. We didn't fix everything that night. Healing doesn't work like that. But we started. Dinner together. Phone calls that meant something. Effort from both sides. The next Christmas, he arrived early. With Emma. And a small box in his hands. "What's this?" I asked. "A reminder," he said. Inside was a framed photo. The three of us from years ago. Laughing. Together. I never changed the will back. And you might think that's harsh. But here's what I learned. Sometimes people don't understand your value until they feel your absence. And sometimes love isn't about giving everything. It's about teaching others not to take it for granted. Moral of the story. Respect, time, and love are not guaranteed. They are choices we make every day. When we take people for granted, we risk losing them not all at once but slowly, until one day they choose themselves instead.